Wait for it. Go.
Good evening and welcome again to our little game. When we last left everyone, which was a little bit ago, the heroes had finally made contact with one of the only surviving members of the Distinguished Society, Ulysses Darrow. Ulysses Darrow was one of the first African-American heroes that had started activities in the 30s. He's been largely reclusive, working for different charities around the world, doing, environmental cleanup or things like that. You reached out to him through your contact with the UN supergroup to explain what you had found regarding the various situations with a fellow by the name of Jack Ransom. And between Ulysses Darrow and the information you found out, it paints a very ugly picture. Apparently, Jack Ransom was a member or associate member of the Distinguished Society. The Distinguished Society made up the greatest heroes of their period time. And through his betrayal and the use of a major artifact, fractured the society by injuring or maiming several members. They booted him from their ranks, and the event may or may not have led to the fall. The event that happened on November 23rd, 1962, where the good chunk of the Golden Age heroes and some of the villains died trying to stop some sort of enigmatic force in the form of a man called Dr. Stardust. You discovered that Jack Ransom had instituted his own attack and kidnapping, that he had apparently made deals with a group of villains called the Sinister Syndicate. The Sinister Syndicate was a loose association of supervillains that worked for profit. You've had dealings with them insofar as the attack during MacReady's bar, and also Ark, the villain who attacked the train. And what Wookie just said. But along with that, you were able to also verify that Jack Ransom had in fact disappeared for some time and had reappeared and had actually been working with the secretive senior partners of the Sinister Syndicate. The senior partners representing a group of villains that existed from the 1930s to the 1960s. These were the worst of their time and age that had quietly either disappeared or died out. Evidence suggests that may not have been the case. To this end, and to gain additional information, it was suggested at the end of last session that you would go and find the supervillainous Chiller, who didn't seem to be that terrible of a person, but required a lot of money to treat her condition, and that she was going to be in the hands of a fellow called the Surgeon at some point in the next few hours. Ulysses Darrow thought that if you could get more information from Chiller, you might be able to put more of the puzzle pieces together, and thus armed the loose group of associated heroes: Beacon, Syndicate, the speedster known as Thought, the vigilante known as Scaredevil, and the mysterious hulking figure known as Gazorpazorp, had decided that that would be something that they were interested in doing, which is where we're at right now. You're getting ready to leave the secret Distinguished Society sanctum to go and try to find Chiller. And that is where you are beginning. So, before you leave, I heard somebody say something about they.
Whoa, you got that bad echo thing there, Ken.
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now it's gone. Whatever. So as we're about to hit the doorway, itching thought inside Syndicate's mind, and it's Riley, over and over and over and over again, going, "You can't leave yet." So he turns around. Well, she turns around. Mr. Darrow?
Yes, ma'am.
What really happened with Jack Ramsey? I think it's very important for us to know that, so we know what we're really going up against. I'm sorry, it's my female curiosity, and I can't help it.
Jack, Ulysses Darrow looks at you very seriously for a moment. I think I told you about the book.
Yeah, at length.
The book shouldn't have been able to be opened. Jack was an associate member because of his attitudes. He was,
Sorry, was he playing both sides?
I don't think, at the time, I wouldn't have said so. I just thought he was an idiot. Jack was a racist, misogynistic bastard. The problem of it was the fact that Jack had no real abilities. He had some detective work, and he had friends within the society, but he began to become worse as he got older. Some of us, and he points at himself, my unique abilities slow my aging process. But Jack was getting older, and he was getting bitter. And so that day, that terrible day, when he showed up drunk, I knew something was going to happen. But I was in the lab working on something with Fedor Sandoval. He points to a picture of a very old-looking man. We were working on a scientific experiment, and Jack somehow opened the book. What he did was he turned its full power on Rula. And he points to the picture of the Jungle Queen. Rula claimed that she was the goddess of the primal world. And she might have been, but it rended her. It tore away her divinity, and it left her as empty a vessel as an empty cup. Jack betrayed our trust, and I think he may have let something worse out, but I've never been able to prove it. Well, what he honestly did, is he destroyed the foundation that we had built the society on, the foundation of trust and family. Afterwards, Captain Crossbones was ready to kill him. And for the most part, I tried to be the voice of reason, figuring that what his crimes were so great, we had no venue to try them in. But I was not about to endorse murder. So Jack was pretty much banned. He was sent out. He was expelled. It was the only time we ever expelled anyone. And we tried to rebuild what we could, but we were already pretty fractured. This just was the end of us. And he disappeared. He said at the time he'd have revenge. He said at the time, a number of things. The point was, it was the worst thing that could have happened, because the thing he did the worst to us is he broke our will and our faith in each other.
Bye, Mr. Darrow.
This is one Ulysses Darrow that has to fly. All right. Ulysses Darrow at that point kind of continued, then kind of uncharacteristically just sort of shifts his gaze to his feet. It's clearly something that he, even after all this time, is uncomfortable really talking about. But he says what Jack did was he showed that how fallible we really were. By doing so, he betrayed the trust that we had in each other. He betrayed the standards that we had set. And more importantly, he had opened an artifact that I honestly don't think we ever closed. But I'm a man of science. Even though as I get older, I tend to think of things in more non-absolute terms, I don't really have the forefront or ability to discuss what I think happened. I'd only be able to give you my perception of it. If Jack's back, Jack was not a healthy lifestyle sort of person. He smoked and he drank tremendous amounts. If he's still alive and functional, as you say you've seen him, then something has to be working. If he's reached out to the Sinister Syndicate, I can only think that he has one goal on his mind, whatever else the goals are, and that's to take up on his plan for revenge. As petty as it sounds, Jack came from an era which was very different than ours. Revenge was a solid topic. It was a expected result. But I believe, honestly, if you wanted to ask my opinion, his purpose for being here is I'm thinking that he knows that he had real power once, and I think he would do anything to get it back, and maybe the people that are helping him have been promised a fraction of that power. I don't know. I'd be honest with you. I don't really understand that myself yet. I don't have enough information to understand it. What he did was destroyed one of my closest, dearest friends. And in that, he destroyed everything we had held dear. He did it by showing us that we destroyed everything we held dear. Does that answer your question?
Thank you for sharing that with us, Mr. Darrow.
Well, I'm a firm believer in certain things. One of the things I'm a believer in is that the longer you keep something to yourself, the more dangerous it might become. The thing is, I've been alive. I was born in 1900. I'm 117 years old. Doesn't look it, but I feel it. And the one thing I've learned with absolute certainty is things don't happen for accidents, and nothing ever happens just by chance when it deals with us in our particular lines of work or in our particular paths that we follow. Points at thought, the moment you put on that mask, it changed your destiny, right or wrong. And you have to live with that. Points at beacon, the moment you chose to stand for something more than yourself, you have to live with that, right or wrong. But the one thing that passes away very quickly is that things don't happen for just accidental reasons.
Those are wise words.
Even me, sir? Even, you know, I win a lot inside this man's body.
Sure.
A lot. Because I have the intuition to be able to do that. You know, females are strong. Much stronger than the man thinks. And we often can use our tools to get what we want. But I don't sometimes feel like I'm destroying him.
I'm not one to talk about a person one way or another, but I'll give you a bit of advice that's helped me.
Am I a person?
Why would you not be? You're out of balance.
Then who's the real person here, sir?
Why can't you all be
Silas? Is it Riley? Is it that asshole Ruckus? I don't know. We even recently met a man named Jeeves, and I haven't seen him since.
Well, I'll tell you. I wish I could say your case is unique, that you're struggling with those voices and those presences. But let me give you a thought. Just a thought. Nothing more, and it's not meant to be anything more than a suggestion. Maybe this is the path that you have to follow to find out who that person really is. Maybe what you're looking for is at balance. And maybe you're all real. And you just have to find a way to learn to live with that. I believe that. I don't think it's possible for so many people to just exist without having basis in themselves. That's my view. Of course, I am a doctor of psychology, but I'm not talking about that. Philosophically, the Egyptian had a belief in the three souls, the Ba, the Ka, and the other.
Yes.
Well, there's some religions that believe more than that.
So Silas isn't crazy, is what you're telling us. Because all of his life he's been studied since they realized who we are. They said he's crazy.
Young lady, we live in a world where gods of myth walk down the street aliens hang above us, things that exist before time itself, and people can do amazing things at will. I don't think you're crazy. I don't think he's crazy. I think the whole world could be crazy. But I think the point is, so long as you know what you're doing is right, does it matter?
No, it doesn't. And I want to go save this woman because I think I have an emotional connection to her.
Well, then I believe then that's one reason to go do it. Another reason is because it's the right thing to do, maybe. They are going to try to kill her.
Absolutely.
And no matter what she offers you, whether she agrees to help or not, every life has a sacred point to it. It's our job. Let me rephrase. It's not our job. It can be our calling that sometimes we have to be willing to step up and make that sacrifice and do the thing that is necessary so that people can go on with their lives. It's the right thing to do. And in the end, is it the type of burdens we bear? Looks at Riley specifically, or how we choose to bear them that judge us, whether we're sane or crazy.
And very quickly, Riley fades from in front of you guys, and it's, Syndicate or whatever. And a very different voice goes, "Thank you, sir. Thank you very much." And it is clearly Silas Phoenix talking to you at this point. There's nobody else. I needed to hear that. It is very hard to live with something that looks like schizophrenia.
Yes.
Something that looks like multiple personality disorder, or whatever you want to call it. But I have one that is even outward. The people that do have schizophrenia or a mental disorder such as that, they don't have a physical change. I love her. She's everything that I've wanted to be. She gets what she wants. She's lucky that way. And then I have the other two gentlemen, and maybe even this Jeeves man. Do you think there's more?
I knew a young woman several decades ago who embodied the entire line of her mothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers within her spirit. And she had great power because of it. And there were probably close to 30 of them. She wasn't crazy. She literally had each of their spirits connected to her. I'm sure there are probably at least one or two, but that isn't a hindrance. That's a strength, because you can learn, as you've already begun to learn, how to function together. And the one thing I can tell you from my experience, and Ulysses Darrow looks around the headquarters, when a group is together and they're strong, they can do wonders. They could change the world. Change the world. Well, if you let me go on talking, I'll talk for another 27 hours straight. I'll tell you what I'll do while y'all are gone. I haven't been here for a number of years. I'd actually see how much of it's still working and if I can bring Maria back online. I will tell you, though, and please take this to heart. Back in the day, when we'd face one of the members of the senior partners, and they were made up of our worst enemies, it was a different sort of experience than the one that I see a lot of people having today. Back in the day, if I can use the term villain, the villains of this day and age are more casual about their activities. They don't care who gets hurt. They care about their bottom line. They're almost sloppy. In some ways, that's an advantage. The senior partners come from a different era. Life was very cheap to them, and they were about expediency. And I need to say this, even though they may seem almost comical by today's standards. Never underestimate them. Dr. Death's Head for being one of them. You would think he's just an old man with a scalpel and a perchance for poisons. He's killed thousands of people. And this is not casual, I dumped poison into the water. This is someone who knows how death works. And he's quick to bring it. Just be careful, is what I'm saying. Which is why I'm glad that you're going together. I would hate for you to have to go do this alone. As I said, if it's all right with you, I think I'll just stay here and finish getting things cleaned up a bit, see what I can get to work, see what's available. But be careful and be vigilant.
We will.
When you come back, we'll have another conversation. But let's get this done first. Fair enough?
Yeah. Shall we? So I look at thought, and then I look for a second at Syndicate, and then I look over at Gazorpazor.
Who's wandered
Shall
off?
we? Oh, he's wandered off, has he? I suspected that to be one of his traits. Looks like it's the 3 or 30 of us, depending on how you count it. Shall we away?
Well, I mean, yeah, you heard what Mr. Darrow said. It's the right thing to do. We have to.
Absolutely. So
I feel like maybe Syndicate's conflicted right now. Maybe they need some time to process this.
yeah, but
Riley clearly wants to go
we
after.
don't have. We can look at Syndicate and say we need to have a conversation when this is done. But let's go save this killer person so she can face trial as necessary.
I assume Syndicate agrees, but it's hard to tell.
Do we actually know where we're going?
Well, you have a general idea. What was revealed last time and kind of going over it is that Chiller's abilities are about out of control. And Mr. Darrow says that if you can bring her back, he would be more than happy to try to treat her. He might even have the skill necessary. Maybe one of the only people.
Right, and she's going to be hanging with a surgeon, but do we know where to find her?
Yeah,
Or is that something?
you've been able to discover generally where you believe the surgeon can be found. The surgeon, of course, has to operate below board, but you had a location that was good at least within the last 18 hours.
Okay.
So the goal is if you get to that location and maybe get to her, you'd be able to get to her before somebody else gets to her.
And we should stop dilly-dallying and get moving. So I head that way.
Deacon launches out of where you're at in upstate New York, or not upstate city, the upper city. You know what I mean? Jesus, can't even talk tonight.
Yeah, here we are.
That
Period.
face and the hair and, face and hair and things. I was throwing my phone across the room. Apologies.
Did you have a cat?
No, I'm smarter than that.
You should apologize.
And frankly, I don't want to get to deal with the. I don't want to have to deal with the ramifications of what that means, because they outnumber me and they have knives. So they have my knives that fell off the wall. So with that being said, you're heading out.
In the direction of where we think the surgeon is.
Correct. And this will actually take you across from where you're at now. You're going to probably go north. The surgeon doesn't normally keep at one location. but he's heading over. You're getting the feeling that where he's been was over near Morris Park, over in the Bronx, was the last time you played. So you jet across the Hudson River and head west across through the different sections of the Heights over toward the area where you've been told he might be located, which is a small area over near, well, like it or not, the Bronx Pelham landfill area. When you're a supervillain that deals in a very unique section of treatment, you can't really afford where you would be. And out in the middle of nowhere off the Parkway looks like to be as good as anywhere else.
All right. Is he there?
Well, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Explosion over. Sorry, gentlemen.
It's all right.
No worries.
You get over toward a section of town where it's not unpopulated. You're actually in a fairly decent area of the Bronx, which has a lot of residential and a couple of commercial buildings. You're also close enough to the water and near the area where the marinas are, over in the kind of the northwestern section of the city. So you've crossed over Manhattan proper and you're in the greater New York borough area. And when you get over that way, what it is that he's apparently established himself just in a freaking residential home. Like he's got like a row house connected to a bunch of others. And that apparently what he's doing is he's seeing people just out in the middle of nowhere, so to speak. It's the middle of an active community area. There are lots of residential buildings. In fact, I'll give you kind of an example. Can we call it an example? Okay. We'll call it an example of what kind of area we're talking about, just in case you want to start a fight or set fire to something. You know exactly where the fire needs to go.
Okay.
So roughly you're like in this sort of area. And he would probably be in a building that's sort of like that. So when I say that it's actually like residential 3-story townhouse connected sort of place, this is pretty much what I mean by that.
So there's 4 houses all together in one house there.
Correct. And it is a very public and very, how's the word I want to put it? If something goes bad in this residential area, the civilian casualties could be significant.
Mm-hmm.
You've arrived here probably close to, let's call it, you met Darrow that morning. And if memory serves, you arrived bright and early. You probably spent about an hour and a half to 2 hours just talking to him. So let's call it like right around 11 a.m. you arrive in the location in question. And when you arrive, first of all, let me ask how you're making your approach.
I'm going to suggest right before we get there that I'm going to kind of look at the other two and say, I mean, we have been, fought together a little, but I don't really know much about each other. Vanilla, I can hit things pretty hard and fly and take a pretty good punch. Thought I know that you're fast. You have other.
Very fast.
You have other. Does that let you do other things? Are you like wizard, or you go through things, or what? What exactly can you do?
I haven't been doing this for that long. Maybe. I mean, I could always try, but it's not currently in my bag of tricks, as far as I know.
So right now you're just run really fast.
You
Well, I mean,
move so fast, right?
Sorry, what?
I'm assuming you can punch things real hard, so you can move so fast.
Well, yeah, but then I still have to deal with the fact that it's that much force on my body as well.
Yes.
I mean,
What you probably have discovered also thought is equivalently, if we were to point to like an equivalent, it would maybe like if you're familiar with the first season of The Flash,
okay.
you've probably picked up a number of those tricks. You haven't gotten quite to the point of vibrating your body to pass through solid matter, but you probably have learned the ability to skip along the surface tension of water and along the sides of buildings easily enough.
Okay.
You probably also know that you can actually, when you run, the thing that stops you from being wiped out by like mosquitoes or small objects that hit you on the road is there must be an unconscious effort to either maybe a micro force field or perhaps you're moving so quick that it doesn't have the same impact. And the other thing you probably would have discovered just within your power set is that something that Corey said is very true. You don't just run fast, you are fast, which means your reactions are much more amplified. They're much faster. You could probably hit somebody 100 times in the span of one person getting hit by like one punch. You probably could hit them like about 40 times. Now, granted, you still have the strength of a normal man your size who has the certain level of activity. But if you get hit 40 times by a normal guy, I guarantee you that still hurts a lot more than people realize.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can impart some of your velocity to object. So like if you grab like a handful of marbles and threw them as fast as you could, they'll leave with the velocity of that superhuman speed. So you definitely probably have those tricks covered because those are pretty basic. Because you've been active for what? We had established Thoughts was active in Minneapolis and Minnesota for a couple of years, right? Before you came to the Temple.
Probably 4 to 6 years.
Well, then we'll probably add a couple of more buildings. You could probably do the tornado run, run so quick you create a vortex. You probably can do the same thing with your hands, which is vibrate your hands so quickly that they create pretty much. We'll say you probably have about Flash season 2 levels of abilities. If you've ever watched that show,
yeah,
it's great reference. Although I would not say watch season 3, but I'm biased, so it's okay.
It
was fine.
was still good.
And how about you?
And you do see,
conversation, but what do you bring to the table?
yeah, and you do see in front of you, you see Silas, Syndicate. Well, sir, you've seen the people that I can become. Well, me myself, I have nothing, but they have lots of things. Ruckus, the one that's a little more aggressive, he's a telepath. I think.
So could he tell if there's anybody in that building?
Probably. And then the guy that doesn't come out very often, he's a little shyer than the other two. His name is Justice. He's much like you. He's a very good guy. He's there for the people and wanting to do things, but he's a bit shy. He's the one that redirected the water that day.
Is that what he does? Water powers?
No, he's telekinetic. He when that van fell on those guys, that was him as well. He's the guy that shows up when it's very dire for me, it seems like. And then there's our friend Riley, and you've met her, and you've seen that she can control fire. That's her thing.
And then I look over at Thought. I say, so could you go run around and check that building out after? I'm just going to call you Syndicate, depending upon who you are. That way,
All right, boy.
You.
Not a problem.
Can you if Syndicate checks for people inside, can you then go reconnoiter the location?
Sure. Yeah.
And his whole voice changes. He looks at Thought. He looks back at Beacon. Yeah, Speedy. You go take a lap. I'll kind of see if I can count heads.
I'll run around real quick and I'll come back before he leaves.
Yeah, exactly. Before he's even able to think.
Before you finish the sentence.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you faster than Thought? That seemed pretty impressive.
Well, it's not that big of a building.
No. All right. Yeah. So, and I like what you said there. There, Ken. Syndicate, as we're gonna start. I'm gonna start referring to him as that now. Uses Ruckus to try to do a head count. Telepathically see how many minds he can connect to, just even for a blip, just to see see if you can head count inside that building.
Unfortunately,
Inside that whole building.
let's step back a second. Before you guys go off and do that, are you actually going to the vicinity of the building? That's what I need to know first.
Oh, I figured we were like, in some bushes across the street.
I did not want to assume, but I assume you're nearby. So
Yeah, we're definitely nearby. Definitely
Corey?
nearby.
Corey, can you give me a percentile dice roll, please?
I absolutely can, sir. 78.
There is some real interference coming from that particular building. However, that being said, you may not be able to tell the number. You can tell there's probably more than 3 adults in the building. The only thing that I can give you that would be helpful or beneficial is that the young woman who you're looking for, Chiller, is currently in the building.
Because I've talked to her. I've connected to her before.
Absolutely. That's exactly the reason.
All right.
I had connected with her before.
What about outside of where I sense her being? How many other people do I sense that aren't supers?
It's hard to tell. Again, there's something interfering with your ability to reach inside the building proper. You do think there's at least 3 more, but when you go to get more of a better feel for who they are and what they can do, it becomes kind of fuzzy around the edges.
Okay.
However, if you want to interface with her at any level, let me know. If you want to try to,
I would like to ping her, exactly, and tell her that she wants to come outside. Now, unfortunately, I can't have Riley do that because this is Ruckus.
correct.
So, if you don't mind, I would like to be able to have my people have conversations now. Like, now that he's kind of been validated that he's not crazy, that things are the way they are, that
I believe that's probably a milestone event. So absolutely, I think you've had a milestone that would make sense.
okay. So Riley talks to Ruckus-ish and says, "Just ask her to come outside and be nice." And Ruckus goes, "I'm always nice."
So
All
give
right. All right.
So give me another percentile dice roll, please.
Yes, sir. We're going to try a different color. Oh, wait. No, we're going to do that one because I liked them for him.
He can look at Thought just with that weird, not the Beak would never say this, but that, what the hell is he doing?
It's
you're not crazy. You're not crazy. As you quickly move around to the other side. No, you're fine. What did you roll?
55.
So the very first thing you get from her is that she's groggy. She's almost like lethargic. She actually doesn't know you're speaking to her telepathically. She thinks you're actually trying to talk to her. So she's under some level of maybe an anesthesia or something similar. And she's actually not sure, like, who the hell are you?
Yeah, she's never met Ruckus before. So,
and so she's basically, if you had to give a real guess here for things Ruckus, I would say that she's under sedation, or perhaps she's she's definitely reacting like someone who's in a great degree of well, she sounds almost drunk.
yeah.
Along with that, you get the distinct feeling that she's not physically able to get out of where she's at.
Okay, so it seems like she's bound. All right. Well, fellas. All right. Now, did Thought do his loop already?
He has not. Thought,
Okay.
you want to do your loop?
Yep. Gonna
Now-
go.
now
So
I'm
you want
gonna-
no dice?
Okay, before you do that, let me just verify so that I understand what you're doing, okay?
Right.
You're going to run into the building, look around, and come out.
I did not get that impression. I thought I was going to run around the perimeter.
That's what I thought as well. I just wanted to verify you weren't going to do the other, because that would be a different effect altogether. That's
Yeah.
when we actually pull out other things, and we go with what we call the uh-oh charts. And I didn't think you wanted to go the uh-oh chart. I had a feeling you wanted to stay on the, hey, what's going on with this chart? This looks like it's one that won't get me horribly eaten chart.
I think I like that chart.
The what we like to call the how do you like your ribs chart. No, I mean not your ribs. I mean they're looking to how they're going to have your ribs. With that being the case, so you're going to do a quick, my brain is now shut off. What was the word I'm saying? You're going to do a quick perimeter stretch around the building itself.
Yeah. To the extent that I can,
Sure.
want to look in windows, see if they don't have like blinds down, which they probably maybe second story windows don't.
Absolutely. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to need 2 rolls from you, and let me explain what each of these are because we haven't really dealt with sheets yet, and that's been my fault. I really don't think that we need them on some levels because this is more narrative control and it's just a pass-fail, and I have all the rules sitting here in front of me. What you're going to do first is you're going to do a roll for your super speed, and this reflects, for the purposes of the people watching, what we're checking is that even the Flash has moments where he might blow past what he's trying to do. Thought is experienced enough that he has more advantages to him, but everyone occasionally hits that one moment where they just completely, they may be picked up, they may not be moving as fast as they thought, what have you. So we'll start with that roll first. So go ahead and make that roll, Thought.
All right. Ugh. To 3.
Oh.
To your knowledge, and I'm going to be very clear, you are moving so fast that no one can see you. To your knowledge, you haven't had a problem where you've slowed down enough where anyone can make out anything but maybe a breeze.
Perfect.
What I need from you is a second roll, and this is more you're looking into the building to try to see what you can see. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Better. 33.
All right. So we'll go with basically what we know so far. You move around the entire perimeter of the place, and to your knowledge, no one actually saw you or spotted you. You were moving fast enough that things were going. The building is indeed 3 stories. All of the windows in this building are closed. They not only have blinds down, but you get the feeling they've actually been painted with some sort of reflective coating. And when you really look, you see it's dull, but there is a coating on the windows that seem to prevent visual point. That being the case, when you come around the perimeter of the building, you notice there's at least near the main door, there's at least 2 people that are sitting on the stoop talking very casually. It looks like a man and a woman. The man looks probably in his mid to late 30s. He has dark brown hair, and he's got a weird assortment of paper thin scars all over his face, as if maybe he kissed a plate glass window at some point, but it didn't leave enough scars to be called jigsaw, because then we'd involve the mouse, and we already know that that's terrifying. The woman, however, is probably a little bit younger. She's probably in her late 20s, early 30s. You don't immediately recognize either of them, as neither of them are actually part of any group you've seen or how you've encountered. But they do seem to be a little bit, one of them is sitting, one of them standing smoking a cigarette. From what you can gather, they seem to not even pay attention to you as you come around. When you come around the, let's say you've done now an arc, and I'm going to turn on the camera for a moment. So physically, here is a freaking prop, and there with the prop pointer. So what a prepared GM I am. Let's say that this is probably if you can make this out at all, here is where the entrance was. You've done a full up here on this side.
Yep.
Was where you saw the people. When you get to about here, you see a young woman wearing, it is still January, so heavy coats. There's a little bit of ice still on the ground over here, maybe some bare snow spots. When you get across the area around the building, and as you're approaching the building, let's say from a different perspective, and I'm going to show you this, I want to give you a better visual than me holding up a cue card. So let's say that you're running. When you get to about, let's say here, you're coming around this area and you're moving. You get around here, you see that there's a little drop down that leads to where it looks like the main entrance into this building actually is. And you see that there's a young woman. She's probably no older than Riley or Chiller. She's wearing an actual trench coat. And it's kind of odd because she's wearing underneath the trench coat, I kid you not, like one of those skin-tight, shiny purple and black suits that you see that comes up to about here on her neck. It completely encompasses her neck. And if you give me a percentile dice roll, you might even know who this person is.
69.
Woo!
All right. I'm playing the air guitar. This is me playing the air guitar. You recognize this as a villainess known as Chimera. The reason you know her is Chimera has what they call terrible powers. She's some sort of shapeshifter. You've seen her on television. Like they've had her where she's fighting with other villains to attack heroes. And she's done things like change her arm into an elongated something or another that hits somebody, or she sprays hydrochloric acid in someone's face. Battle suit, not really a person. That's kind of creepy. And
So that's one bad chick.
she's probably on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, on a side note, in the universe you're in, they do rate how dangerous people are. It's called the Furasaka scale. It was developed in Japan in the 1970s, the late 1970s. What it is, it says the scale 1 is a threat that normal police officers can handle without issue. 10 is a galactic or extra-dimensional threat that requires extra-dimensional responses. Average supervillains have around between a 3 and a 4. Villains that are considered to be your dangerous, the top echelon, probably type out at about an 8. Miranda Watkins fits between a 5, about a 5. Her
Where do we
powers,
fall on that?
it depends on where you're at during the day. Luckily, heroes aren't rated.
Okay.
But the benefit is being a 5 means that simply her powers suggest that you engage Metaswat and alert a local superhero team when spotted. It doesn't say that she's-
Okay.
What was Art?
Arc was around a 4 or 5.
And who's the big guy that we fought outside the McCready's?
Oh,
The big brick guy.
he was probably around a 4 or 5. Watkins is probably around a 4. I'd say she's probably more of a 5 than a 4.
Okay.
The real disadvantage that Miranda Watkins has is if she's provoked. She has been doing this for a few years. She's not been a lot of years because she's not that old, but apparently her abilities are more versatile. That's the best way to put it. But she's at the back door, it looks like, waiting to get in.
Wonderful.
When you finish your circle thought, you've got a pretty much a lineup. There are at least 3 people outside with some access to the building. You don't really have a good idea. You've got what you would think you saw some shapes moving in the lower level. So maybe there's 2 to 3 more people down there by the door in the back on the inside.
Okay. So yes, I'll get back to the group, and man, it's good to be fast. Okay. So what I found was there's 3 people outside, 2 people at the front door, 1 person at the back. Have you guys ever heard of Chimera?
Is that a roll, Mark?
Yeah, if you'd like.
Yeah, I'll hit that.
Welcome to.
I got an alt 9. No, I have
may have
not.
heard of her. Let me step back. You may have heard something about her, but not enough to make an opinion one way or another.
Yeah, I got 78, Mark.
Okay, yeah, it's the same thing.
I've heard the name maybe, but
Yeah, she was on the news the other day. She melted, man.
Yeah, she might be bad news, but we can probably take her. Just
She doesn't look very old.
we'll do what we have to do, right?
Well, the man we met today was 117 years old, and he looked like he was in his mid-60s.
Yeah.
So who knows these days, you know? So, well, and then
Right,
you said
so-
you saw 2 others.
So,
Right.
so how does that match up with what you picked up, Syndicate? The local.
Well, what I can tell you is this: is that I was able to. I think those are the 3 mines that I was able to ping, and then I did try to go online with Chiller, and she's definitely under some duress. It seems like she was almost intoxicated, but I also think she may be bound. But she is in that building.
No, but if she was to be operated on, then she might be
She may be prepped.
anyhow, right?
Yeah, that's correct. But I can't be certain. You know, it's she does want. Yes, I know, Riley. She does. With the conversation Riley had with her, it seems to be dire need for her to do this, and she seems pretty desperate. So,
May I have all
For
of you
narrow,
make personal dice checks, please?
yes.
here I hope for something a little alt 9. I'm gonna get copied. Woo! 52.
That one was good for me. It was 89.
Your main dice.
What do we get from Thought?
all right, 53.
All right. So you're not really surprised, and especially Syndicate, as around the corner, like almost looking curious, like, what the hell is this? You see Miranda Watkins walking around, like checking you out. Like, that's a weird thing to see. Like back where Thought just came from.
Hey, Thought.
She's looking at us. She's looking at us.
Yeah. Yes, she is. She's actually walking across the street towards you with this questioning look on her face.
She saw you, buddy.
Stand down. Stand down.
Yeah.
What's up?
I'll,
All right,
I'll step
how big is Beacon?
6'2", 190, something like that.
Syndicate kind of just walks behind Beacon, and when he comes out the other side of Beacon, it's her.
What's up?
Hey, how are you doing today?
Hell of a migraine. What is
Oh,
this? Some sort of convention? Is this a convention?
Is this not?
Glare.
Chimera.
What do you mean? Not sure what you're talking about.
Okay, well, a guy runs around the building at super speed. That looks like a reconnaissance. And I can't help but notice that two of you were on the news last night beating up Ark. So I'd guess that you're coming to hit the surgeon. That about right?
We're actually not here to hit anyone.
Cool.
No, not interested in hitting anybody.
What are you here for then?
Riley's looking for a friend.
Yeah, a friend of mine seems to be in the building. Is that correct? Who's in there? It's Chiller in there with you guys.
Chimera turns her head slightly, like to the side. She just sort of quirks it. So let's say, for instance, that I tell you what you want to know, and then I'm going to go, and y'all can do whatever the hell you want. You just let me go, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Actively doing anything that needs to be dealt with. So
I was coming for an update. That's all I was coming for, was a treatment. I can get a treatment elsewhere. I don't want really. I have a bad enough headache this morning that I realize that this would be a pretty ugly situation for me. I'm not above basically cutting my bait. I'll answer your question. Points to the girl. Yeah, I think I saw Icy in there.
Okay. Well,
Frosty Pop, I think, was in the treatment room.
is that the same person to you?
Yeah.
She's
Chiller.
got nicknames. I like it. Yeah, I just call her Chili sometimes. It's, we go a little bit back. It's who's the other two?
I have no idea. I didn't pay attention, to be honest with you. I try not. These aren't the sort of places you get together and have a social.
All right, and
Yes,
she.
What is it, Wookie? What is it, Master? Do you require something? Do you require me to do something for you, Master? Sorry, I apologize for all the live audience. I am a slave to apparently the cat's whim. Chimera, at that point, surprisingly, she's choosing discretion as the better part of valor. Especially now that Beacon is here, and she saw the television where Beacon, the news crews and the news drones were able to get great pictures of Beacon and Thought in costume fighting it out. That's enough to dissuade some people who pay attention to these things. They're like, that guy's strong, that guy's fast, and this person obviously changed shape. She's probably in the treatment room. You'll pardon me, but we don't exactly have a social circle in there.
And that's fine. And she walks up and she just puts her arm around her and goes, us girls, we need to take care of each other. So
you get the
why
real.
don't you run along there, sweetie?
Yeah. She's actually shaking a little bit when people put their hands on her. Like, it's not something she's really comfortable with, but she actually looks at you and says, look, whatever you're here for, that's cool. I'm not going to stop.
Her.
I want one more question, and then I think we can go peaceably.
Sure.
There's apparently are other people down with the surgeon and Chiller. Does he have someone that normally accompanies him? Anyone, anything we should know about that person? You can tell us.
She stops to consider that for a moment. He normally has a robot or something that serves as an assistant, but it's not a smart thing, and they're not very, they're not very smart.
Not a combat?
I'm pretty sure it could fight if it had to, but I don't see it needing to.
So from what your knowledge is, new friend, it should be the surgeon and my girl in there, and that's it. Is that correct?
No, there were a couple people in there waiting. I don't like waiting around people. They bump into you. I don't like getting touched.
And she releases, her little arm around her and goes, "All right, run along, girly." And as she turns around to walk away, she heats up her hand just more than body temperature, a bit more than body temperature, and just gives her a little pat in the butt.
Huh.
Bye now.
Chimera looks at that and just goes huh. Yeah, I think this is probably smart on everybody's front. And with that, her coat actually looks like there are probably slits in the back, and she grows a pair of large leathery wings and just flies off into the sky.
All right, fellas.
Try not to piss off the ones that we aren't in the aren't currently fighting. All right.
Yeah, but sometimes you just gotta let them know that it could turn bad quickly, right?
They need to know not to piss me off is what they need to know.
Yeah.
But be seeing you. I'm sure we're going to run into each other again at some point.
Was that Chimera talking to us?
Yeah. She
All right,
says it
well-
in such a way that's almost like tired. Like,
Yeah.
I guess we're going to have to run into each other at some point. Almost as if she doesn't really want to have to go down this path.
Yeah. It's not in her today.
She just seems that she's had a bad day. And when she saw the speedster, it was like curiosity. But now it's more like,
No.
well, there's a brick and a speedster and a telepath probably. Or somebody who's got heat abilities that changes shape.
Yeah.
That's more.
Bye. And she waves to her. She flies away.
So,
So thought. What? These guys on the steps. Their age. Were they in any kind of costume? Anything? Might give us a clue to.
A man and a woman didn't appear to be in costume. Nothing really noteworthy about them.
Nothing remarkable then.
So are we going in the main entrance or the side entrance?
Well, what I would think is that if those two are there, we don't really want to make any more problems. And seeing that she realized that we could make it a bad day, it might be advantageous for us to be a little bit more sneaky.
Or we could take those two out before going inside. We don't want them coming in, hitting us from behind.
You got a point. Okay, and you see Syndicate turn back into the male form. Fire's not going to serve us well right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can take them out, just knock them unconscious, tie them up or something, and then we don't have to worry about someone coming in after us.
What is around the entrance?
it's just a stoop. If you give me a second, I'll show you specifically again.
But garbage cans, anything like that, what's around it?
I'll show you exactly. There's a car. The fuck was that?
Sounds like it's coming from you to me.
It was
Sounds
coming,
like an
it
autoplay
was
ad.
coming from me. It was an ad that popped up, which is odd because it shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
I had flipped over to see. All right. So let me show you this again.
Like Pornhub to me.
Are you kidding? I'd have that muted.
All right, so that's identically what is out in front of the building, and they're sitting in that where your square is.
Yeah, right about here. That would probably be a good example. Like steps.
What is it? Is that white door? Is that door down? Is that a white door down there in the bottom?
Over here.
Nope. To the left of the car.
Yes, that
Is that
is.
as well.
Yes.
But
They're sitting on the actual steps.
where the iron bars were, that looks like that's the direct front door of the place.
That is the front door. It is, exactly.
Should I try to speak to them first? Give them the opportunity to be smart, like this Chimera lady was?
Chimera was something. Yeah. Who's going to be the mouthpiece this time?
Could they see us dealing with her from where they are?
No, they couldn't.
What do you think?
Diplomacy seemed to work the first time.
I mean, if
What
it
do you
doesn't,
think?
we can always finish up with.
Aggressive diplomacy. Ha ha ha. So shall I go up there? You guys just kind of wait the wings, and if things go south,
We'll be there in an instant.
Yep.
so we'll maneuver ourselves around so that they can be in a reasonable lurking spot, and I'll just kind of hover towards the two on the stoop.
Okay.
Being aggressive, just
You just descend like a god from the heavens and say, the fuck is this? I doubt
exactly what you say and exactly what they say. That's the way it is.
My apologies. I now know what it is. I downloaded the CBS All Access thing to watch the Star Trek thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it ran an update, and apparently these are all CBS shows that are coming out.
Oh,
So
lovely.
I've turned it off because I was getting tired of it running in the background trying to update. So I like Star Trek. I don't like it that much.
Yeah, you know.
You descend, and they literally stop their conversation to look at you, and you've caught them in that kind of moment, in that awkwardness where they're watching something like in a bad movie, like they're talking, the guy's like, hey, how are you doing? You know, and she's like, well, you know, and then they both sort of turn and see you float down, cape fluttering in the bright January morning, just sort of there with your arms folded, doing your best Christopher Reeves, and then you say,
Hello.
good morning. Howdy.
Hi. I'm looking for a friend of a friend. You help me?
The guy looks at the woman and she looks at him. The guy looks back. Let's find out, kid. Are you smiling?
Of course I'm smiling. That's what I do.
Okay.
Right in the teeth. I have extra armor on my teeth, by the way.
Actually, at that point, you smile and blind everyone there with the ting. The woman looks at you with a momentary knowledge that she must recognize who you are. The man looks at you with a kind of a certainty, and the woman looks more carefully, and it's like her first reaction seems to be more measured than the guy's reaction. Holy jeez, it's a raid! And he takes off over the side of the railing and starts running down the street.
Can I go try and tackle him?
Absolutely. Well,
He's going away. He's going away from the bit.
he took off running away from you. He jumped over the railing and just started running, leaving her standing there. She's still sitting and looks up. That depends. Who are you looking for? You easily, as you're running, you see this guy reaching into various pockets, trying to pull out little round, black, about the size of cue ball shaped balls. And he's quickly going through them, trying to find the one he's looking for, but he's not quick enough. And so you're on top of him before too long. Give me a percentile dice roll.
88.
before he can actually grab one and throw it at you, you actually got a hold of him and got him. You son of a bitch.
Hey, now we're just trying to have a nice conversation. No need to get upset.
All right. You have him solidly. Back on the stoop. Syndicate, where are you through this? Syndicate.
Of course, he's been dropped.
Of course you did. Well, that's okay. We're having conversation. The woman looks up at you. That depends. What kind of friend are you looking for?
The lady's name is Chiller.
She takes a moment and thinks about it. If you're here for Chiller, she's inside.
Right. We don't want any problems.
No,
trouble.
no, that's cool. That is absolutely cool. In fact, I was just leaving. I was just waiting for my friend, but he seems to have ran and left me. So
Maybe you should.
I'm
Would
perfect.
that be wise?
You know what? I absolutely think that is the smartest thing in my place. You're the one that punched out Ark, aren't you?
Ark. Beacon, remember the name of that other guy
Right.
at McCready's.
Yeah. And as you're saying this, she's just nodding like the knowledge kind of washes over her. And she just says, look, I'm going to get up and walk away now.
That sounds good. You're smart.
Great.
What's your name?
Mandy?
I'm
No,
sorry?
sorry. My name. She looks like she's struggling to find words. Like,
Mhm.
no one really has that thing. I'm, what do they call me?
If that helps. Very rude of me. I'm Beacon.
You're Beacon, and yes, you are. You are a beacon, are you not? I'm Mirage.
Pleasure to
They
meet you,
call me Mirage.
Mirage.
It's nice to meet you too, Beacon. Look, I do
Have a
have
nice
someone
day.
else. No, you have a great day. She quietly gets off the stoop, straightens out her skirt, and walks down the street. Meanwhile, Thought, you have a hold of this guy. It's damn unfair. You speedsters are always cheaty little bastards, running this way and that way.
Just want to make sure that nothing rash happens. Your friend over there seemed very calm, very cool. Maybe you could take after her example. We're not here to do any raids. We're not here to hurt anybody.
You're
Just
not
like-
here to do any raids or hurt nobody. So you're not here for me.
No. Who are you?
No one of consequence. I'm an innocent bystander. He's got a costume underneath of his. He looks like he's not wearing his mask. He's got a coat over a black bodysuit with a big letter 8 on it. This is a villain called 8-Ball. He throws little explosive 8 balls at people.
It was actually good if his name was 8-Ball.
Yeah, that's his thing. He's like, you're absolutely right. I was minding my own business, just visiting my aunt who lives nearby. And this really pretty girl was on the stoop, and I ought to really get back with her and see that she gets home. There are some unsavory characters currently on the street. And,
Wait.
yeah, sorry for the mix-up.
All right. Well, you stay away from those corner pockets, and I'll let him go.
Oh, that's
That's so good.
isn't that funny? Yeah, I'll catch up with you later. And corner pockets, yeah. As thus you begin to build your rogues gallery, Thought. Why you want him? He's cut off a crime. What do you want him? He made a snide poll comment when he let me go from hanging around the place. Wow, you're petty. It's perfectly good, reasonable reason to devote your life to being a villain. You've now dealt with, unless you want to let the authorities know, they will disappear because they're just the group of you having the success over Ark that you did the other night. They are perfectly willing not to fuck with you. They're like, yeah, no. So, pardon my language for the people watching in the live broadcast.
No, not at all.
I should have said, instead of fuck with you, I should have said, screw with you.
Fuck with
I
you.
apologize. The Academy apologizes. Everyone else apologizes.
Okay, I'm
That
sure
means-
the editors probably bleeped all that out anyhow, Mark.
Oh, excellent. Well, then that's perfect.
Can you
So-
guys hear me? There are broadcasts where I sound like R2D2 sometimes. Just when
Out
I'm
of
talking.
curiosity, I wanted to ask this before we just go a little bit further. Where can I watch these broadcasts?
I'll get you the link. I'll get you the link here, and I'll put it in the chat here in a few minutes.
Well, thank you very kindly. I appreciate that.
You can go back and watch 2 years of the fantasy campaign if you want.
That's actually one of the reasons that I had actually been hoping to find this, was the ability to go back and check out.
There it is, Rachel. That is Ken's page, sir. YouTube page.
Well, let's do this. I'll subscribe. Okay.
So,
So,
all right. So, right about that time after the guy's walking away, the young lady's walking away, Syndicate kind of slinks his way up. He goes, well, that happened. That escalated quickly.
What escalated?
Well, why are all these low-level heroes, bad guys? Why don't they want to mess with us?
Because we have righteousness on our side.
I like that answer, Beacon.
And we're here doing good.
Maybe they have televisions.
I think we're getting a reputation.
I hope that's a good thing.
Whatever the reason, well, let's just be thankful that it is the case. Then, shall we go find your friend?
Yes, she very much wants to do that, Beacon.
I'll go try to open the door.
well, ironically, it's like a door.
Could be
Really?
locked.
It is not, believe it or not. They do not have the upstairs door locked. You're able to get in, and you see that they've converted the upstairs in a very short time. All of the furniture that would normally be here has been moved out. And what is left is, while the windows have this polymer coating, Syndicate has a little bit of a headache coming in. You understand what that is. It's probably it's probably a technological device that inhibits base telepathic abilities. It interferes with scans. It does other things like that. And
That's why it's fuzzy to me. Yeah.
as you basically get in, you see that a moment later, the activity seems to be coming from one of the other rooms where it would normally be the kitchen, and the other door leading downstairs. The door has been removed. A fairly nice sectional sofa has replaced what would have been the kitchen into kind of a waiting room. At least one or two more people are in here, but they're not dressed in any recognizable costume or gear. You walk in, one of them gets very nervous. The other one seems to be dead asleep. The one that gets nervous quickly gets up and walks out the back door. Downstairs is the activity.
Now that I'm in the building, has the interference gone away?
It's remained the same.
It's remained the same. So okay, so telepathy isn't going to work here.
It would be very difficult.
Yeah.
There's so who, if anyone is left on this level?
Probably the guy who's asleep on the.
What does he look like?
He just looks like the actor Michael Bain from Aliens.
Yeah.
And a few moments later, a man walks upstairs. Sounds like he's grimacing, like I gotta walk. He looks a lot like this fellow.
It's walking. Yes.
He's actually pulling out a cigarette. Out of a Russell.
100 points of karma from you, Mark.
You can't do that. I would suggest strongly you reconsider your opinion. Being the source of this image might come over to your house and say to you, "Hello, I've come to your house.
Come to your house.
I won't be leaving because I've got dealings." He comes upstairs. He pulls out a rumpled cigarette out of a pack. Next.
I'll look at Syndicate. I believe that's your cue.
I think you're right.
I don't have all day.
I didn't ask you if you had all day.
Yeah, I had a backlog. Are all of you here? I'll need you.
No, actually, we're here to collect Chiller after her treatment. Is she finished?
No, she's still got about 50 more times in the cooker. If you're not here for treatment, you'll have to wait in the waiting room.
Wait, can you blow that by me one more time?
If you're not here for treatment, you're going to have to wait here in the waiting room.
I understand that part, sir. My ears work. How much longer will she be?
15 more minutes in the cooker.
And then will she be cured?
Cured? I'm not here to cure people. I'm here to treat them. I don't have the facilities for the kind of cure she needs, but I can give her treatment, which is what she's paid for. If you give me 15 more minutes, she'll be out and you can collect her.
Didn't you want to, wouldn't you like to speak to this man about your condition, Syndicate?
Yeah.
But if you're going to be here for treatment,
That's correct. I've yet to make your acquaintance. Chiller's talked very highly of you.
that's strange, but all right, I kind of get that. Here, if you're going to be here for treatment, he gets a clipboard out of what looks like a desk drawer with an ink pen with a little chain to it that has a note on the clipboard saying, please don't take our pens.
Yeah.
I need you to fill this out. And will you be paying with your insurance, or will this be a strictly under-the-table affair?
You'll be paid.
Well, if you fill that out, I'm sure we'll be back up to deal with you momentarily. The two of you gentlemen here for treatment as well. There's a great thing. I don't do psychology.
Can I use your bathroom, sir?
Down to the hall to the left. You'll have to please turn the light on and off when you're done.
Wonderful. He takes the clipboard and sets it on, like, a kitchen counter as he walks by. And he goes into the bathroom, stays in there for an appropriate amount of time as if somebody went to the bathroom.
Sure.
Comes back out, and he's Riley.
If you'll excuse me, I have to go check on a patient. Be right back.
I glance at Fault.
Yeah, you're on the same page. Go ahead. And down the hallway, you can see Riley. She kind of lights up her hand a little bit so you can see her face, and she just kind of winks at Thought.
A few moments pass. He walks back down the stairs, kind of letting out those little groans a person does who hates walking with any type of stairs whatsoever. And you're left in the waiting room.
Is that door still open, or is it closed?
Oh, no, he left the door open downstairs. He doesn't seem to care one way or another, which could be good or bad.
All right. So I can't talk to him directly like I have before. So she walks up to him and she goes, "It's not gonna work in this room."
Well, he's also moving downstairs. I should probably be very clear that he's left the main room.
It's anytime I've tried to use any type of telepathy, it's like that interference that can be created, and it's you probably don't know much about it because you don't deal with how I do, but it's not going to work here. It'd be very.
You meant telepathically. I got you. Okay. I misinterpreted what you meant by directly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. That's my directly. But well. Seems rather nonchalant.
Shall we go downstairs and
collect her?
This man again, and you could maybe investigate what else is going on.
I'm very interested in that. And Riley, before you even can can get an answer from Thought, she starts walking downstairs.
Oh Lord.
I'll follow along.
Well,
Sir, I wasn't.
he's already
wasn't
disappeared. He's disappeared into a small warren of rooms back there, but you see a robot. And when I mean a robot, I mean it's like a skelebot. It's thin. It's got a skeleton-like skull. It's all shiny Terminator metal. Come on. And the only other thing that's noticeable is it's wearing an old-fashioned tri-corner nurse's hat, and it's got a little like stick-on metallic, like a magnetic badge saying nurse on it. The patients must wait in the waiting room if not undergoing treatment.
But I had one more question for the surgeon.
Please fill out the clipboard. He will be with you momentarily. Thank you for your patience.
I'll move down to get close to the nurse as well.
Okay. Well, the nurse basically is not moving with the efficiency as a combat robot would normally move with. This thing clearly was purchased probably at some point in the past and has never really made its updates.
Yeah.
You could probably, knowing what it's made out of, you're figuring it's a steel composite. You could probably knock its damned head off with one punch easily.
Yeah. She looks at Beacon. She looks back at the robot, and Syndicate forms in front of her. It looks like a tin can to me, Beacon. What do you think?
Looks like a fine medical assistant.
You think it's necessary still?
Do you have a name?
I am
Nurse?
associates. I am the
Go.
medical wait staff. Have you filled out your clipboard? It
Could
is
you,
never too
tell me
early
where
for
the
your flu
clipboard is?
shots. Huh?
Could you show me where the clipboard is?
The
I
clipboard,
couldn't-
the robot goes, the clipboard should be kept in the waiting room. Please follow me to the waiting room. Reminder, it is never too early to get your flu shots.
All right. So I let it lead me away while leaving, hopefully, Syndicate where she was.
Thought Syndicate are left completely. The robot takes you back upstairs to where the clipboard that you left sitting on the thing is.
Yeah.
There is a clipboard. Will you be paying with insurance, or will this be an under-the-table sort of affair?
I'll be paying cash.
Under-the-table affair. Certainly. Do you have any preconceived allergies or any conditions? Conditions include, but are not limited to, diabetes, high blood pressure, cybernetic enhancement, biosoldier enforcement from the 1970s, biosoldier enforcement from the 1940s, biosoldier enforcement other, alien diseases, recurrent alien diseases.
So downstairs.
Downstairs, while probably the greatest fight that's ever being fought with trying to remain conscious occurs upstairs, you see that the doctor is in one of the quote unquote patient rooms, which may have been an old bedroom in the way that this house was set up at one time. And you can see that there's definitely a number of small quote unquote examination rooms. And sure enough, you hear what sounds like in one room steam escaping. Thought definitely in that respect, you feel a lot of heat coming out of one room, like a sauna. This would correspond where Thought was saying would be where probably one of the windowless rooms could have been when he made his circle. And a few moments later, that seems to be the most likely room where she would be, because he's in one room. You see another woman in another room that's just sort of sitting there with a paper gown. And that clearly isn't her. So probably that room right there is where you'll find Chiller.
Yeah, so I recant the idea that I changed forms. She's still Riley.
Okay.
And she doesn't notice the heat so much. It doesn't really bother her. You know what I mean? And she enters the room. And does she see Chiller, or is she inside of a device of some sort?
She's no longer in a device. It looks like the thing that she was probably in was like the best example I can give it to you and actually kind of give you an accurate view on it. Imagine, if you will, it is like a gigantic pressure cooker.
Okay.
Like a human-sized pressure cooker. And she is laying on a table. You can actually pick her up now a little bit easier because she's no longer inside the device. And the differences you've seen from her are fairly significant. She no longer has the kind of permafrost look to her skin that she had when you first met her. She actually has more of a human look. The little device that's monitoring her vitals is continuing to chirp away happily. And what it looks like it's showing is that whatever the treatment is apparently successful. She seems to be resting comfortably, and
so she's not conscious per se.
No. And a few moments later, if you wait for her to wake up, the actual doctor comes in a few moments later. Ah, damn.
I'm sorry, Doc. I wish I had patience, but I do not. And she's now over to where Chiller is, and maybe even rubbing her head. You know what I mean? Come on, girl. It's time to get up and go.
That isn't going to do it. She's sedated. You ought to wait until I actually, give her the anti-sedation. Where's the big one?
Talking to your robot, I believe.
Damn it.
Wake her, Doctor. Now.
He looks at his watch, takes another puff of his cigarette.
Is that really a good idea around people that are being medically treated?
There's an old saying here. Beggars can't be choosers. Besides, the reason I'm giving her time is we want to make sure that the treatment took, right?
Well, she looks much better than I've ever seen her, Doctor.
There's an old saying in the medical profession.
I don't care about your old sayings, Doctor.
Good. Calm yourself down, little thing. I'm not done yet. We got to make sure the treatment took. She can look as fine as rain, but if it didn't take, then that's not going to do you any good, is it? She'd revert in about a half hour, and all that work would have been done for nothing. As it stands, I can't guarantee she won't be able to keep this treatment for long. Her condition's getting progressively worse, not better. It's going to be out of my range to deal with.
And she just kind of huffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Besides, it's not like not like the police are going to show up in the next 5 minutes.
I would imagine not.
10 minutes probably, but the next 5 won't make any difference. What's she to you anyway? Chiller seemed to be kind of a loner. You know what? I'm about to break the cardinal rule of medicine. I'm about to get involved with my patients. Never mind. He looks at his watch and done. Puts an injector into her arm like a hypo. Takes another quick puff off his cigarette. Now, upstairs, are you filling out the paperwork?
Sure.
It reads very much like you would expect to go to an urgent care. There's also this entire thing that payment must be meted at the time of, treatment. Any conversations that are had are client privilege and will not be held against the person. Yakety smackety. And sure enough, a moment later, he takes out an injector and he gives it to Chiller, and Chiller's eyes begin to flick a little more open. Did it work? It worked for now, but you're going to have to see somebody about that.
Hey. And Riley kind of gets right in, kind of close to her and goes, "Hey, girlie, I told you I'd be here."
All right. Well, I'm glad we had this
And then
heartwarming
she
family.
just whispers. She gets real close to her, whispers in her ear. I think I have a more permanent solution, but you need to come with us.
She's looking confused, like she's trying to put together the day. So I need rolls from Thought and from Beacon. If you'd be so kind, gentlemen.
That's an 83 from Thought.
I'm just gonna stop rolling the tens die and just call it a 0. That'll probably be easier.
But you didn't roll a 1.
52.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, both of you are up. Well, Syndicate or Riley at this point is in with the Chiller, who's currently not quite cognizant of her surroundings. She's coming around, and surprisingly, she's coming around quickly. So it won't take you long to fully rouse her, Riley. Mm-hmm. However, at about that time, Beacon, while you're filling out the other paperwork about sharing medical records with your primary care physician, now you know why supervillains apparently are in the villain racket. They can't get health insurance on some levels, but more importantly, they have to fill out this paperwork. It's saying in case of incarceration, sort of things. You hear something outside that sounds like kind of a thumping sound. Thought, you certainly have seen and heard it. You were kind of keeping a watchful, I assume you were kind of keeping a kind of a watchful eye on things, because you can be everywhere at once. And you definitely see that there are a group of, the air has changed outside. It was a bright, sunny, and pleasant day when you came in. The kind of January day where everything seems clear and the sun is out and birds are shining. It's gone from a very bright and climate-oriented day of friendliness and happiness to dark clouds in the skies, and in a way that's not only unnatural, but it certainly seems like it's very, very sudden. That's the way to put it. Unnatural. There we go. Unnatural. Abnormal. For your perspective, what you see is there may be a figure up in the cloud bank, Thought, and you can see that they're beginning to churn. They're not moving in yet, but you figure you have maybe a couple of minutes at best.
Okay, I will. Riley and Chiller. I don't want to alarm anybody, but I think we need to be leaving quickly. Are you good to go?
She's a little out of it, but you think she nods. I mean, she's like, "Yeah, okay."
All right.
Good. We should go upstairs and catch up with the other one real quick. And I'll go and help them.
Yeah. I would say that both Riley and would with Thought help her up and.
Ironically, this time when you touch her, she does not freeze your skin with kind of an absolute freeze and certainty. She's actually kind of warm, but she did come out of the bath just a second ago.
Right.
You get her upstairs just as Beacon has finished the last of the paperwork.
Time to go, big guy.
And Beacon, from your perspective, while you've been up here, the robot, it's a stupid robot. It doesn't have a lot of clear cut, it's not very conversational. It'll answer any medical rules you need. It'll help navigate any insurance issues you might have, but it's not a smart thing. But from your perspective, while you've been up here, while they've been downstairs, you can definitely tell the clouds outside have gotten darker. The sky has become a little rougher. Winds have picked up. Riley comes upstairs with Thought. They are carrying a more human-looking Chiller who looks a little bit out of it. And you're ready to go.
So hey, Nurse Spot, we'll be back. We'll be right back in a little bit, okay? For the treatment there.
Please, your number is 4. Please do not lose your number, or you will be bumped to the end of the line.
Thank you. And hey, Thought, if you could go Could you go out and take a look? See what we're going into. It's unnaturally dark now.
It is. It's becoming dark, and the winds are howling a little more. You get up a little bit further, and sure enough, it seems that the sky has taken on a storm-like quality. Thought manages to make it outside without much of a problem. Beacon, you can assist them carrying Chiller at this point if you'd like, or what would you like to be doing?
Yeah. If she needs assistance, I would obviously run.
Well,
The assistance.
definitely you're
If you could carry her, buddy, you're going to be the strongest out of any of us to do it.
you easily scoop her up. She weighs practically nothing.
Yeah, she weighs like 100 pounds probably.
At least soaking wet, and she is almost soaking wet at this point. And you get her outside. Thought you do the quick lap. You realize that figure you saw up in the sky that you thought you saw, that was not an illusion. You actually probably have seen someone up there, and they probably are waiting for whatever's about to happen. But you're able to cross back without drawing any further attention. And sure enough, you have Riley, Chiller, and Beacon. And as you move out, you get out onto the street, and lightning begins to strike around the house. Bolts of lightning are coming from far off in the heavens, and they've targeted this house apparently significantly. So much so that you actually see a lash of lightning leap out of hits the ground, dances for a moment, and you hear the sounds like something electronic shorting out, saying something in a distorted voice. Your insurance forms need to be up to date.
I'm gonna shove Chiller into Thought's arms and say, "Get her out of here."
Okay.
We'll catch up.
Okay, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, go to
At the place here this morning.
Yeah. And I will begin to go off.
ping.
As Thought takes off at top speed, a burst of wind basically leaves behind him. He actually leaves one of those cool vapor trails.
Nice.
While you're there, I need rolls from Beacon and Syndicate.
Yep.
In Syndicate, you're still Riley at the moment. Is that correct?
That would be very correct.
Excellent to know.
Woohoo! I lied. A 95.
Holy Jesus.
Holy moly, sir. I got 47.
Ken, when Beacon hands her off and gets ready to be the heroic figure to stand there when whatever happens is about to happen, you see Thought just take off. Probably the fastest you've ever seen Thought. And it is impressive. I want to go on record that it is very impressive. As we're getting close to, however, the end, I'm going to try to make the next time I can make it. I'll try to be here both nights, but I don't think I'm going to make the second, only because I know that I got work. But as we draw to it, what you see is a blur of motion blows past you after Thought, moving at top speed. As if something else is moving after Thought.
Something chasing him.
Something's chasing him now. And as you're doing that, you see a figure descend from the heavens. The best way to describe this figure is it is a woman. She is dressed very similar to what would have been considered to be Pictish sort of garb. I wouldn't say Celtic. That's not the right phrase. Definitely older. Her hands, she glitters with a kind of like a phosphorescent light that seems to basically be a combination of electricity and perhaps the kind of weird afterglow they say that St. Elmo's fire leaves.
Yeah.
She stands there and she goes, "They're here," is all she says before the storms pick up and you begin to see other dark shapes landing inside the storm cloud to where Beacon and Riley are. Such shapes that could only be the fact that the Syndicate, albeit you got Thought out of there sooner, or not Thought, Riley got Chiller out there sooner. They are obviously here for a reason. And it looks like with their main purpose gone, their reason is to kill you. Dark forces have converged, and hopefully within the next little bit, you'll be able to, well, you're going to be doing battle for your very lives. But you managed to get...
You describe. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, but you managed to get Chiller off. If only someone could warn Thought that he is not alone. And as he races across, they're taking the water, the bridge. I just want to know to set things up next time.
Probably would be taking the bridge, not the water, even though I know I can run across water. That's without the extra weight.
Yeah. As you
I'm
zoom,
going to stay on land.
obviously, that makes perfect sense. And as you basically leave from where you are and you begin your arduous trek, and you begin to head back across from where you were. Hold on one moment. Let me get this damn thing situated. You begin to cross over back to try to head over from Brooklyn back over across to where the area was near the old Fort Hamilton sections of town. You begin to realize that something is wrong. You've taken the bridge that connects over, and you begin to realize a terrible truth. You are being followed on foot by someone very fast who's probably coming after you to kill you. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. It is now a foot race for life.
Fun.
Dodge.
What?
Some advice.
Can
Yeah.
I?
We'll pick up at that point the next time.
Dot.
Okay.
You basically are now racing for your life in a delightful foot race with carrying a person that you're trying to prevent from being murderized.
I mean, I didn't like her that much.
I don't really care. I mean, it's fine. I don't care. I'm trying to make a
I
name.
just leave her right off to the side. I don't give a crap about her.
I'm more concerned about the fact that, let me ask you a serious question. How bad is this going to go for my press? I mean, would you say that this is terrible for my press? Because, if it's not bad, I don't mind. I just, I just don't
Well, I
mind.
mean, she's a villain, so I mean, it's not like it's probably worse for my press if I get caught running with her.
You know what? I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to tell you this. Do you have a good attorney?
Well, he is an attorney.
Like I said, do you have a good attorney?
Nope.
Then it's probably best you're not caught with her. It's probably best that you try to, just saying.
Yeah.
So
I've had that thought.
you had that thought. That's
That's what we did there.
I see what you did there. Yeah, I was about to say, I see what you did there. With that being the case, we're going to wrap up tonight. We'll begin next time, probably from this point. We'll work in Jackson and Carl when we have the next time to do it. So with that being the case, thanks for joining this evening. And we'll look forward to talking to everybody anon. I used a big 4-letter word.
Bye, guys.
Have a good
Bye.
night. Talk to you later.